Hi there, I'm Charlie Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Channel Sales here at Core Wireless. I'm here today with James Weaver, Director of Product Marketing from Cradlepoint. He's going to talk more about the 5G technology so we can all become more informed and really how can we prepare our customers for this transition. James, great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Great to be here.
Hey, so let's jump right in. James, as you know, 5G is a hot topic right now. Can you explain the difference between 4G and 5G and really why, your opinion on why it's on everyone's mind?
Yeah, sure. Well, if you look at the different cellular generations from 2G to 4G, they were really two-dimensional. In other words, voice and data. And the carriers got the voice part down. They just did a great job with that. And so in each of these generations, they really tried to improve the speed of the data piece of it. And it was really consumer oriented. It was about the phones. What's different with 5G is it's more than two dimensions. It's multi-dimensional and incorporates not only kind of your personal life with this phone, but also your business life. And so the 5G standard goes well beyond just data for your phone. So for instance, you may be looking at sites that that you can now, although 4G will allow you to power your businesses, 5G will allow you to do many more things with regard to those businesses. Run the whole thing wireless, for instance. Or you may now have video surveillance that you can now have not only high definition, but use artificial intelligence for the video to be able to figure out, or the compute side of it, be able to figure out what's going on in the video and make triggers. It's that kind of capabilities that 5G brings. It will bring low latency. So think of the autonomous vehicle world and Factory 4.0, where we're starting to talk about low latency and the ability to do different kind of healthcare exams remotely and so forth. So this is the kind of standard that 5G, or the kind of capabilities that 5G brings in that standard, far more broad, multidimensional.
That makes sense. I mean, looking at companies that really needed, say, SLAs and guaranteed service times and uptimes and downtimes, this is going to be a game changer for companies and giving them a third option that they really kind of didn't have in the past, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and it also, Charlie, includes something called network slicing that will roll out here in about a 1.5 years time, where a wireless carrier can slice off a type of network and a QoS version and say, you know what, this is for you, and I'm going to charge you commensurate with the kind of slice that I gave you. And that's going to be easy for the carriers to do.
Wow, that's unheard of in this wireless space that we've been in for so long. So that's exciting news. There's a lot being talked about. I recently heard about $81 billion of airwaves being sold to the major carriers here in the U.S. How does that affect the 5G rollout? Everyone's touting 5G on the consumer side. How does that affect us today?
Yeah, it's interesting because the 5G world is really broken up into 3 spectrum layers. So there is what we call the coverage layer, and that's the layer that we've been using for decades. It's got great propagation characteristics, but really kind of low capacity. And so there are 2 new layers introduced. Ones they call mid-band or high band. Sometimes we call them the capacity layer and high capacity layer. But the thought is that as you move up the spectrum chain, if you will, you get to have greater capacity. But then it also comes at a price in terms of propagation. So the density of the towers have to be closer. Well, as you can imagine, carriers have to build out those properties. And what happened uniquely in the US is that we really didn't have those spectrum licenses for this mid area. And so the FCC said, all right, we're going to pull off our requirements. We're going to release those licenses and let you go bid on those. And so that's what the major carriers did, is they bid on these licenses for this mid spectrum. Because what we have right now is we have nationwide coverage and we have some high band coverage in limited areas, but we're really missing that middle slice. The rest of the world has a middle slice, and the US is really deficient that way. So in about a 1.5 years, with all these licenses acquired, you'll see carriers start to roll out that middle slice.
So it sounds like that middle slice is a pretty important piece of this 5G puzzle that's being built today.
Yeah, it really provides the trade-off between propagation and performance. You got millimeter wave, where you have to have really high density of towers. You got coverage that can be a long way away. That middle slice is just kind of the sweet spot in that. Now, the T-Mobile acquisition, or with the T-Mobile acquisition, they acquired Sprint's 2.5 gigahertz slice. That's a nice mid slice. And so T-Mobile is starting to roll that out. But again, it's in its early stages. So what we expect is in the life cycle of the next product that your customer is going to buy, next wireless product, they will have that mid-band slice to use.
Well, I mean, pretty exciting stuff to see what's coming down the pike, and really kind of really waiting to see who's going to be the leader in 5G in the next few years as far as these carriers are going to play out, right?
And hey, they're all dedicated. They're all going to do well.
Yeah. Hey, so what should our partners and our customers do to prepare for 5G? Should they run out and buy the latest 5G technology now, or should they wait and see what happens?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One to become educated and understand how these three spectrum layers work, and talk to carriers and understand what the rollout plans look like in their area. It's really where you can become a trusted advisor, because there is some confusion in the market about that. And most people look at it from the phone perspective, and that's just it's a different market. They need to understand the business market, and so we do a lot of education on that, and that's the best thing a rep can do to help their customers, is to be a trusted advisor. The second thing is to start looking at what we call the wireless wide area network, and because of the advancements in 4G and what 5G will bring, this is becoming a very viable way to connect all kinds of things at the network edge. We're talking about connecting your location, your business location, connecting your vehicles. We're talking about connecting video cameras that have high definition. We're talking about kiosks and AR opportunities, and all of those things can come together in a consolidated platform and give businesses the ability to really have a lot of flexibility. And we have lots of use cases that of companies who are saying, you know what, I can move my sites, I can have temporary sites, I can take my site on the road with wheels because it's wireless. And that's the kind of use cases that companies need to be thinking about. And as they think about how they can use those use cases to get business advantage, then all of a sudden they start saying, oh, I'm convinced this wireless wide area networking works, and 5G is here. So the more I learn about those use cases, the more I can kind of test those out in a 4G world and progress into a 5G world.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I see it today, right? You see pop-up stores. I was at a fair a couple years ago, and there was a Nike store that was there, and sure enough, they had a Cradle Point right on 4G, and they were running their store that they popped up for just that weekend. So definitely coming to fruition soon, and it's happening in front of our eyes. So, and again, one last question, kind of touching on that. Are there any benefits if a company does start investing in 5G technology today?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefits is getting familiar with this whole concept of wireless WAN. And so if you start today, you understand the nuances of cellular connectivity. It's not complicated, but it's slightly different than the wired world. You start to also see the benefits in terms of having one provider nationwide. You start to see benefits in terms of this flexibility. You start to get trust in the reliability. And so I think that, Charlie, is the biggest benefit. But then also, as you get to understand that technology, be comfortable with it, you can start to expand. We have a lot of customers that will come in, they'll use wireless for failover at their site, become comfortable, and they say, you know what, this next store that I have to open up, I can't wait 30, 60 days for a wired line. I'm going to use wireless. And so they start using wireless day one, with the expectation they'll then take that instance and either put it in another site or use it as failover to a wired connection. And then they start to say, why am I even using wires? I'm going to start standardizing. And so this is a trend we see very commonly. So the sooner that a company kind of gets their feet wet, the sooner they start to get confidence and they start to experience some of the great benefits of the agility that comes with the wireless wide area networking.
It's trust, right? What's interesting is we trust our devices today. Like if your phone, for whatever reason, doesn't work, you kind of freak out. But the reality is we access the internet every single day on our little personal phones, and we're used to it, and we expect it. So you're right. In a business environment, they're not that quite used to it yet. So it's building that trust. They try it once, it works. All of a sudden, now they're free to like be wire free down the road, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Listen, that's some great information and thoughts. I mean, listen, there's no doubt that 5G is going to be huge. It's already making an impact for us today. We love working with Cradlepoint as our partner. We love talking about Cradlepoint, and we see great success with our customers that use Cradlepoints every single day. So thank you for that partnership. We appreciate that, folks. I want to thank you for joining us today for this quick fire. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. And again, please keep an eye out for the next one. James, thank you so much again for joining us today, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Charlie.
Awesome. Thank you, James.